50 or so people of the 1.5 million that have it. So you're welcome to log in and check it out.
Well, if you're a high profile streamer, then it's certainly a good cost benefit analysis, to invest that much.
All right, let's see.
I mean, I've been I don't know, I've been concierge for too long as well, but my 3 years of of subscriber status, I'm not ashamed of, that's for sure.
Oh no, man. Hey,
when it comes to having stupid amounts of spaceship, I kind of feel a little bit about, but that I supported, the communications from the devs for 3 years, I do feel very good about.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is I'm a player that, like, I would have rather started with just a handful of ships at most, and even then, like, I usually like starting from the bottom, working up, but I'm still going to do that with different characters. But this character and the ships that I own now are more about a community experience. They're for the organization, They're not. Why is the door not opening? I'm in the Million Mile High Club. Oh, wow, that's interesting. The door just doesn't open and I can walk through it. That's new.
Okay, so this
Million Mile High Club then?
Yeah. I figured I'd log in while you guys were logging in and checking it out.
Okay, I was thought we were still going.
In regards to the art style, it looks very much like, a land version of the Phoenix, pretty much. The Phoenix on the inside feels exactly the same. Or the Revelant York Hangar also feels a bit like that. So it's like a logical extension of it.
Yeah, they built this in like a week. Is what I think it was. Was it Disco and oh my gosh, how can I forget his name?
Mark Skelton.
Mark Skelton. Yeah. Mr. Gold Shirt.
That's right. The infamous, the legendary.
That's right. I'm sad that he left, but
I feel out of place in my heavy armor in here. I'm coming out again.
You gotta change into the civvies, right?
Yeah, and there's no cupboard or anything.
It won't let me get through the door. Now, I don't know. Like, I think what I'd like to see for the Million Mile High Club long term is use it in the... Oh, what is this? Are we in the same hangar? What? That's new. You guys realize you've never been able...
I'm coming back.
You could never be in the same instant or in the same hangar together, and now that you can have more than one person in the Million Mile High Club, that's new. That is fucking new. Holy shit!
I'm coming back.
Nice.
Well, you always said that you would like to have that
party time.
to actually socialize with your friends.
Well, right.
Dance.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the first part of it, but the other part of it is that there hasn't been any functionality for them to slip in. By the way, functionality of you can have multiple people. Holy shit, Stacks! Oh man, it sounds like there's going to be an event coming up soon. Oh, where's now we just need to be able to have emotes without having the chat window on screen. That's coming in 3.0 too. Let's see.
I want to see my chat window while I'm in third person.
Well,
so you can watch me dance and and type dance,
or at least be able to activate it without. I mean, if you type in the command and immediately after you enter it, you hit F4 and Z, you can still watch. But look at my guy being all smooth. I need to let them.
Oh, he's got facial animation going on with that too.
Yeah, I know. He's like saying stuff or something.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is awesome. Yeah, no. So what I'd like to see is in the same way that the Carrack is the flagship of exploration ships, right? It does all the things, right? It is the gold standard of exploration, that all others are modeled off of. I know that other people would like to own shops and own businesses in game. And they never promise it. They're like, well, we'll look at that maybe post-launch. Well, nonetheless, they already have the Million Mile High Club, and it is by far, it is very much like the thing that many of the people that bought the 15 grand packages and the 10 grand packages, why they chose to do that. Because you get more by not buying the big packages in a lot of ways. Anyway, so what I'd like to see is that, like, when you have the club, say it's a club that has like 3 rooms or one, maybe a main room that you decide right up front it's going to be a casino, it's going to be a dance club, it's going to be a strip club, it's going to be it's going to be a speakeasy, it's going to be whatever, like it's going to be a guild hall, it's going to be a military headquarters. You pick its main like theme, right? And then you have sub rooms that you can then modularly purchase or upgrade and put in that will change the sub functionality. So that way, if you have 2 people that they both have the military headquarter version of it, even based on what sub rooms they put in, it's not going to be identical, you know? And then on top of that, once you choose those rooms, you can actually choose a skin. So just like this particular bar has, gold trim and it has cigars. It's a cigar bar, right? You can choose a skin that changes the overall feel and texture and theme of it,
Probably to have some sort of a preset.
Right.
And then you can still change it any which way you want, like in Fallout when you build your settlement or whatever.
Right. And that would be nice. I don't know if that would be asking for too much or not. But, the thing is then, is that someone else? Oh, no, that's the NPC at the front. What would be interesting is if then you could choose the access list about whether or not you open it to the public. You could set a charge of how many people maximum you allow in the club at a time. You could set like what it costs to get in. You could set like VIP rooms that have a secondary access list so that you could have, not only do you get into the club, but your high rollers can use the back rooms. And basically you create a social space where, somebody might be able to handle their guild conversations, like alliances or big business deals. They could do it over, TeamSpeak or Discord or whatever, but the people are going to come and hang out here, so it's going to become a social hub because people are going to want to rub elbows with those guys, and I don't know, man. And like, I want to run it like a true to life venue where you have like, people that I know that are DJs or musicians can actually play live music and stream it into the club, and have a schedule where we post events ahead of time and people come out because they want to be a part of that, so
you basically want your second life in space.
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't I?
No, I'm totally down with what you're suggesting. I'm just wondering though, how much of that type of thing would happen here in the Million Mile High Club specifically, or versus like aboard that 890 jump, like the touring.
Well, right.
We were talking
well, yeah. I mean, I think the luxury yacht should have a lot. See, that's the thing is they're going to have to develop some of those gameplay features anyway for the 890 jump. Some of those things are going to be generated even in the design docs that came out with the Genesis Starliner. And then so really what I'm saying is you use this as the test bed for fleshing out the gold standard of all those kinds of mechanics and businesses and economic tie-ins, so that you can then release smaller versions where people can buy, one room shops inside of a space station and then choose the inventory that they want to sell there, whether it's, a specific line of cassava outlet. Because here's an interesting thing too, is what if when you have a full verse and you have clothing stores all over the verse, you might have a cassava outlet that does like a standard set of clothing, right? That everybody sees. But what if they added like every store, like there were certain colors, certain jackets, certain shoes that were more uncommon or rare or ultra rare, and the game on its own determined where those things popped up. So if somebody bought the rare pair of shoes from this one place, those shoes aren't going to pop up there. They're going to pop up someplace else. So literally when you're shopping for something specific, you might be able to find common stuff at every single space station you go to, but it's going to give you reason to go and search the bargain bins and hunt for, rare clothing on some station that happens to have that one thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then if you buy those, you could actually buy those, put them in your inventory, and then you have your own shop where you then resell, your finds. So, you could go like treasure hunting basically and then resell it in the verse. I just, there's so many opportunities to give depth and reality to this game, that it's just basically build the tools, do a good job with the tools, and then let the players, breathe life into this. But
yeah, absolutely. And with that clothing thing, I think with if Kasaba were to have something like that restricted selection, or the restricted inventory that not all customers are going to have access to. I think in the cases where they do have stuff like that, I think it shouldn't even be a fixed inventory, because even if you have the connections and the money to buy whatever they have available, they only have like 10 particular items, for instance, that they're selling for that month.
Right.
And then
and the inventory changes.
Be different. And so you're going to be able to talk with, have potential dealings with other people who have likewise bought those restricted items from Kasaba, and they had access to items that you never did. And so you'll be in a position to, hey, I really love those pants. Can I trade you for this, limited edition jacket that I got?
Exactly. And just, I mean, it blows my mind. Like, that's such a simple, not simple necessarily, but, that small little addition, would mean that, you're not like, oh, that's a Kasaba. I know that they have these 4 t-shirts, but like every time you go, that they might have something new or, or whatever. And it would just, it would breathe life into the universe for sure. So
absolutely.
It took me a while to figure out how to get my character to lay down perfectly on the couch, but it looks pretty good. Like, I can sleep like that.
Yeah, it does.
Look at him. I don't know what he's doing with his head though. Like, there's no pillow there, so he's like, I'm sleeping, but I'm holding my head perfectly still up above my arm.
You need a cupboard here with suits, so I can change out of my damn armor. I look really out of place here.
You can go to the hangar and then come back.
You look high dollar like the rest of it.
It's like, look at that armor.
Prepared for war.
Yeah, I know, you look like Master Chief. It's badass.
I think it's an interesting name they chose for this, though, the Million Mile High Club, because if I understand correctly, that was a kind of a play on the Mile High Club.
Right.
That's, been not an unofficial thing for decades and decades, where, as long as you have sex above 5,280 feet above, either above ground level or, I think above ground level or whatever, then you're in the Mile High Club. So
right.
In the Million Mile High Club, that's, I don't know.
It's like, it's for space. It's for starship captains, I mean,
that type of starship captain. Okay, well, Captain Kirk type. I got you.
That's right. I do love the branding that they did for the Million Mile High Club, though. Like, they did a good job with the logo, I thought. And the centerpiece that they have hanging on the ceiling was a big point of design that they went through. I mean, most of the other assets were actually pretty, like, they basically just stole assets from other from like the G-Lock bar and then just retextured them and such. But they did a good job. Like, I like it. I was disappointed because when, I was hoping that, like, the kinds of things that I was just talking about, I was hoping that when they released it to us, they were going to put out like a small design document about like where would they like to go with it and so on and so forth. But they didn't, and that lack of statement was very disheartening to the community, and which is a shame because it's not a small thing. I mean, I know it's just a line item on a digital package that so few people own. So you can say that no matter what we spent as individuals, the amount of money that we put into the total development is still a very drop in a bucket, you know? So why would we get anything especially special? But at the same time, it's because you need to have those certain special things. One, because otherwise no one would ever, you know, do that kind of thing again, like buy in at that level. And then that's a bad way to treat those backers. But and also because you want to create something that's of value that people in the verse are going to be excited to get to, because it truly is rare. I mean, I know that it's artificial, it's just digital pixels, but I mean, that's why you don't sell Idrises except in a limited format, or Javelins, or Jumps, or Phoenixes. Like, they need to be artificially kept low, specifically because it inflates demand. I mean, I got that, and, you know, people are like, well, why can't we have all the ships? Like, why do they got to be expensive? It's like, they don't, but it's because they're expensive that we want them, and it's because we want them that we work hard for them. You know, if... Anyway.
I personally just don't see time critical. I think right now I would like every development hour to really go into meeting those deadlines and shutting up all the haters.
Well, yeah, that's a big part of it, and I think they're getting to that, you know, and they have definitely started to hone in on the prioritizing. So, like, I'm not worried that they didn't do more with this. My only complaint was when they released it, I wish that they had communicated a bit more about, you know, so that way I don't spend the next 2 years being like, wow, man, like, I'm disappointed. You know what I mean? Like, communication is a huge part of keeping people happy as well. So it's not just about the impressions that we create on the outside. But you're right, it's tough because obviously I'm one of, like, you know, 50, 60 people that own this. That's a very, very small voice compared to